stuff like this.
Hello and welcome back to Between the Arcs. I'm your host today, The Horse, and joining me is the man behind all good things that happen within our Discord, within our Patreon. You need numbers. It's not just Flanders. It's not just Secco, but this bloke, for a shit-house mathematician, he's actually got some ball knowledge. It's deadly. How you doing?
Yes. Bit of a hype up for a guy who does half the work that the other boys do, but yeah, going good, mate. Keen to rip in, chat some defenders.
Awesome. We were just talking about your NBA SuperCoach Cup game as well. You're into the final 16 there and likely to make your way into the top 8.
No, I wouldn't be speaking too early. It's still plenty of week left to go for that, so We'll see how we go. Hopefully no restings.
For a bloke that beams confidence, you're awfully nervous right now. So good luck for the rest of the week anyway, mate. But today, we're getting back into the tier list series. Deadly is very good with these. What we do is we create 5 tiers. And what we do is we go through them, 25 players, and we separate them into 5 lists. Must-have primos or mid-prices to start the year, a top 10 or top 5, cash generation option, a good starting option, needs things to go right to be a successful pick, or it's a safe avoid. Deadly, before we kick off with these, how did you come to making the 25-man list? Have you just gone on SuperCoach numbers and how well they're picked at the moment, or their percentage in ownership, or is it more about who we think or you think will be absolutely relevant come the start of this season?
It's a bit of both. A lot of the first, 15 guys were just chosen off ownership, so we can have a chat about them, and then sort of picked a few guys that weren't on the top tier of ownership that I think would be good discussion points for us to have a chat about.
Before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, bell, hype, thumbs up. We love it all. Also, 5-star reviews on audio help keep the lights on, but also promote us to other people that love SuperCoach, AFL, and a bit of banter along the way. So let's get into our first 5, we'll say, mate. And to kick us off, the man who didn't play a lot of footy last year, but is very much in the conversation for a round 1 debut up on the Gold Coast, it's Zeke Uwland. Uwu's little brother.
Yeah, I think I've said enough on Zeke in this preseason, to be honest. He's a genuine superstar in the making. In my eyes, he's a future Brownlow medalist. He's that good when he gets things going. Mate, I can't see how he's not a top 5 cash gen option. I assume he will start the year in Braden Fiorini's wing role, and then sort of as the year progresses, maybe get some CBAs, maybe play off half back. We'll see how that they integrate him throughout the year in the early stages. But for now, mate, I think he's a top 5 cash gen option.
Oh, I love that. It's very spicy, but this kid can absolutely play. Connor Rozee is our next pick, and do we need to go too much into it? He seems to be fairly highly owned within the community, almost at 60%. Is this just a set and forget, especially to start the year, or how do you see this?
Yeah, I think for me, he's with Port's run and no early buy. I think he's got to be, must have. He's looks to be locked into going D6 again this year, at least. Yeah, I think he's a fantastic option off halfback for Port, and hopefully they don't chop and change things too much around and just keep him back there for a good portion of the season.
Bang on. Naze Wanganeen Malera, the absolute superstar from the St Kilda Footy Club, also very highly owned. Shares that early buy with GWS, which makes it hard when we're looking at the likes of Naze, Sinclair, Lachie Ash, Lachie Whitfield, and others. But does he back it up this year? Or do you think teams starting to cotton on to the way that he plays footy and it could be a slower start to the year for Naze?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think at least one of Naze or Sinclair have to be must-haves. I don't think I can put both in there. You got to choose one or the other with that early buy. Naze, I think, is going to be more susceptible to a tag, especially in the midfield, even though the tag isn't popping around too much, unless you're like Nick Daicos, who cops it every week. But yeah, Naze is going to cop a lot of attention as well in that midfield, but he can break a game open. It's just for me, it's a choice of, do you go the running half back who could go ballistic without Nas running back there with him, or take a guy who's in the midfield and can break a game open. I think for me, I prefer Sinclair right now, but that's not counting out Nas. I think Nas is a good starting option, but near on must have if you don't want Sinclair.
I think you're spot on there, mate. Jai Serong, the first rookie that we're going to talk about, handpicked Sydney. There were a number of clubs that were interested in his services and having an average of up near 100 in the VFL last year, and looks likely to start round one. If he's in round one, we've just got to have him, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think, he's shown in the VFL last year he can score well, sort of the third tall back there. There definitely is opportunity for him in that aging Sydney backline. I think he's got to be top 5 cash gen option if he's in that round one team.
Definitely. Josh Lindsay, West Coast rookie. Is he as locked in as what we may have originally thought to start the year, given that he's had a slow start in their intra-clubs, or is there still a wait and see on Josh Lindsay?
Look, yeah, I think he is in the round one team for sure. I don't think he's going to have that permanent half-back role that we thought he might get straight away. Sort of like, the replacement for Tom McCarthy. I do think the main guys back there will be Liam Baker and Liam Duggan for now, with Brody Hoff and Lindsay rotating through there. I think Lindsay's probably going to rotate between a bit of a wing and a half-back role throughout the year. I do still think he's a fantastic option and does have a good enough scoring upside to where he is a top 5 cash gen option for me.
Absolutely. Love it. Now, this show wouldn't be available to us without the good people that do sponsor us. And this year it is Stromcrete, Strommy and the boys at Stromcrete, Central Victoria's leaders in all things concreting, and Bradley Constructions in town, the CBD in Melbourne, for all your steel works. These two blokes and their businesses are supporting Between the Arcs in season 2026. Their link is in the description below if you'd like to get involved or see what they're all about. Keidean Coleman is next on our list, Deadly. Now, this is a man that we know what upside he has, but has been cruelled with injury in the past, we'll say 18 months. If he's fit, I know people are talking about fading him because we don't trust his body and what have you, but at that price, for the upside that he could give us, you've nearly just got to go with it, don't you? No one ever wins SuperCoach by playing safe.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it really just depends on how Brisbane line up, and we'll see that throughout the practice matches, how they use their halfbacks, whether Zorko moves away from halfback, whether Jasper Fletcher gets a bigger role, Keidean Coleman, what his role looks like back there. He is definitely a top 5 cash gen option if he's on the park. I think he definitely needs things to go right for him, not get injured, have the role to be a successful pick. But if it does go right, he's definitely a top 5 cash gen option. I think I'll put him for now in need things to go right. But if we see in practice matches that Zorko's out or Zorko's not there, his knee looks fine, I think he's definitely top 5 cash gen option.
Love it. Barbecues galore, Sammy Grjl. Pete loved him the other night, didn't he? He's raving about what he's looking like on the track, and being a Richmond nuffy, I tend to want to agree with Pete. But have you heard anything else apart from the drums that have been beaten fairly loudly out of Punt Road?
No, this kid's a superstar in the making as well. He's really, really good. My question is, where does he line up to start? Like he can play on a wing, play halfback. I'm not sure where they line him up to start. And there is a few halfbacks down at Richmond. There is Jaden Short and Sam Banks. So bit hard to squeeze into that back six quite convincingly. There's definitely a couple wing roles available. I think he's a good starting option. Just the role concern does worry me to start his career. But once he gets firing, mate, he's really, really good.
He's going to be, he's going to be an elite level when we talk AFL SuperCoach. Colby McKercher, do we trust Clarko? That's the big question.
Yeah, I mean, it could go in either one. So he's either going to be a must-have if he's at half-back, or he needs things to go right and get chucked back at half-back because, he's been trialled in the midfield, been training at half-back, been doing all sorts of different stuff. But, mate, some of the clips I've been seeing from North training, McKercher's looked another level of insane.
Hasn't he?
I think right now I'm probably going to have to put him in must-have unless we see something change. Because at that price, he is so undervalued for what he can do. Scored, not almost 900s in a row, playing off half back towards the back end of last season. I think you've got to back that in if he stays there.
You absolutely have to. Yeah, there's just too much upside there. Speaking of upside, we're talking about Jacob Farrow from the Essendon Footy Club, one of the 3 higher draft picks that Essendon brought in this year. You can see a definite way that Essendon are looking to go by bleeding some youth, as well as, your Merritt and your Parishes leading the midfield there. Jacob Farrow, is he probably the one with the best foot skills out of the 3 that have come in?
Yeah, definitely. Out of the 3 main guys, yeah, definitely. He's got the best kick. My question to you, Horse, is if he isn't around one team, where does he line up? Where do you see him lining up?
Halfback.
All right, so that you've got contention there with Mason Redman, Andy McGrath, Archie Roberts. There's a few guys there, and having 4 sort of ball distributing halfbacks is definitely an interesting topic. I think Farrow is a good starting pick if he isn't around one team, but the fact he might have to get moved around or potentially drop back down just due to the competition around him. I can't put him in a top 5 cash gen option, but I do think he's a really good starting option.
That hurts, doesn't it, when we're talking about someone this good, or potentially going to be this good, but yet probably won't be. It might be that downgrade option, but won't be starting the year, unfortunately, for the Essendon Footy Club. Next, Nick Newman. We know his ceiling. He is 35. He's had some niggles in the preseason. In the 400, so relatively cheap for someone of the ilk of Nick Newman. Can you trust it?
I don't know where you sit on Nick Newman, but for me, I'm safely avoiding him. Like I have no care in a 35-year-old who's, in a bit of a depleting team, I guess you could call Carlton, with TDK leaving, a few other guys leaving, and not really gaining too much back besides getting Jagger Smith back from injury, but. Way I see it with Nick Newman, he's going to have kick-ins. He's going to be, the guy who gets the ball out the back half alongside Adam Sard. But mate, he hasn't even started full training yet since he copped a minor hamstring injury. He's gained multiple problems in his same knee over the past year. At 35 years of age, I'm pretty happy to avoid. I don't know about you.
I think I'm happy to avoid as well, mate. Yeah, I'm with you. There's better value elsewhere. Lachie Ash is our next pick. Or do you want to go Lachie Whitfield? Let's just go the brothers.
We'll group them together. They're going to go in the same spot.
Yeah, you're right. Early buy or early buys in the season for GWS. They're the kick merchants down back, aren't they? They're the ball users that GWS have to use the ball coming out of D50, and both look likely to average over 100, but how do you see it starting the year for the Lachie boys from GWS?
Yeah, it's just going to be, for them, I think they're both good starting options, for sure. Probably both going to be top 6 defenders quite convincingly. I can't see that really changing unless Lachie Whitfield somehow plays half forward for the whole year, which I doubt will happen. I think they'll both be half backs again. But with the early buy, it's a tricky buy to navigate, the one they have. So I do think they are good starting options, and I think you can definitely start one. I definitely wouldn't be starting both, but they're not must-haves by any means to start the season. They're guys we're sort of looking throughout the year to target, but they're definitely both good starting options if you want to go for one of them.
Sounds good. That round, what round is it? Round 4 buy with St Kilda? That's a really tricky buy, isn't it?
I think it's, hang on. Yeah, it's round 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you wouldn't think it's too bad of a buy until you really look into it. Like, it's only those 2 teams, and then you really look into it, and you've got Jack Sinclair or Nasai Wangan Miller, or whichever one you pick, Sam Flanders, Mateus Philippou, who's in everyone's side, and then you've got guys like Brent Daniels. You've got these 2. There's a lot of people that could really get caught out by that round 4 buy, even though there's only 2 teams on it.
100%. It's funny with St Kilda being all of a sudden very relevant with those players that could potentially make us cash and or score well to start the year. Jordan Clark is next from the Fremantle Footy Club, and Speaking of fixtures, Fremantle have one of the best fixtures to start the year. Good bye. Good teams to play against for halfbacks anyway. We talk about players and their roles that have changed in the past. Even Lachie Whitfield, we thought he was sure as shit coming off halfback and he was moved to half forward last year. Colby McKercher was thrown around. But one thing for sure, even Nas went into the midfield. Jordan Clark will not move from halfback.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of him. You know what you're getting with him. He's what it says in the 10. You're not going to get too much value out of him. He probably scores 105 for the season. Again, that's probably what type of player he is. He averaged 105 last year, 104 the year before. That's the type of guy you're getting. So you're not getting much value, but you're getting a good consistent option. I think he's a good starting option if you want to take it. And if you've got too many guys in the early buys, you can take a Jordan Clark as sort of a safe D6, D7 primo. To hold for the whole year. Just keep an eye on how many Freo players do you have as well. Just want to
that's right.
Check that out there.
Deadly. This one is a topic of conversation within the SuperCoach community. And I'm sure you and I and everyone else is going to have different opinions on Tom McCarthy from the West Coast Eagles. So he came in at 99K. He was one of only 2 or 3 players, I can't remember the exact stat, that made over 200K at the back end of the year when we're looking for downgrades. He had an absolute role that we loved for SuperCoach. In fact, he finished in my final team last year. I was looping off the bench given the role that he had. At 500 odd K, are you willing to start with him, or could you be willing to start with him?
It's an interesting topic because, training in the midfield, it's going to be new territory for him. But we got to remember, mate, this guy's only been in the AFL not even eight months now, maybe 8-9 months he's been in the AFL. So, yeah, he scored good off half back. Whether that translates to the midfield and also into a really, really weak team in West Coast, let's just be honest, they're incredibly weak. I'm not too sure it translates that well for him. I don't think he reaches those D6 types of heights. He needs probably 105 to get there. I can't see him getting that consistently. I think for me, I'm going to avoid him, but I can understand why people are going there, but it's definitely not one for me.
What about if I was to tell you, Deadly, that this guy's played a grand total of 10 games in the AFL, has scored 103 times in his career, and he's priced at 500K, and he's going to be playing in a midfield with no real experience in it.
Yeah, as I said, it doesn't sit right with me. I could understand why people would look at him, but I think I'm pretty safely avoiding.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to get involved in our Patreon or our Discord, there's plenty going on in there, including weekly Q&As. We've got Flanders running a numbers show tonight with all the stats in the back end to help you pick the best players for your team this year. Exclusive articles and shows, our weekly teams and trades, direct one-on-one support, positional rankings and analyses, subscriber-only leagues, and some fairly prominent names within the SuperCoach community, Deadly, that definitely know their way around SuperCoach involved there.
Yeah, 100%. We've got a real good community getting built now with some knowledgeable guys and people bouncing ideas off of each other, and it's really looking really, really good in the Patreon and in the Discord. Yep,
love it. And while we're here, our Unlimited League, let's throw it up. 436-783. I repeat, 436-783. Believe it or not, we've just gone over 1,000 entries in our Unlimited League, Deadly. So later tonight, we will be drawing our first prize for the year. We did say at the start of the year, once our league gets to 1,000, we'll be drawing out a random prize to someone just by being a part of our league. They will win a standard squeeze pack, thanks to the guys at the Standard Squeeze. We get this league to 1,500, another prize comes out. So tell your friends, tell your loved ones, and if you win the year, it's $250 in your pocket for a league that you're entering for free. If you're a Patreon subscriber, we're going to double that. $500 if you're a Patreon subscriber. Link is in the description below. Jack Sinclair. We've spoken about Nas. Now let's go to Jack Sinclair. Perhaps my number one option to start with this year in our defense, Deadly.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. But what I'm going to do with this tier list is I'm now going to move Nas and Sinclair up there because I feel wrong putting one in good starting option and one in must have. I feel like it's personal preference, to be honest, because you got to. I think one of them's a must have, one of them's a wait, and whichever one you take, I'm not gonna argue against, because Jack Sinclair without Nas running through there could go ballistic, and I think he's a D6 lock. I think he's priced very, very good. Mate, he can come straight in and on matchups, be a VCC option straight away for you.
Mm-hmm. This next player, I'll comfortably say that I've copped some hate of over social media for bringing him up early, and apparently he was nowhere near it. But as the practice matches are played and the preseason gets closer, this guy's name continues to get mentioned within the back six at the Western Bulldogs in their A team, and that's Lachie Jaques. Sorry, 6'2", can use both sides of his body, good ball user. Do I think he's going to score massively? No. Do I think that if he holds his spot, he'll be a consistent scorer in that 60 range and a cash generator for us? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's my thing is with Lachie Jaques is once Lachie Carmichael, who was originally probably going to make his debut, once he comes back from injury, sort of round 3, round 4, does Jaques lose his spot? It's a concern for me. So
yeah,
I think he does need things to go right to be a successful pick, but because there is a bit of risk factor there. But at 119K, he's going to be in a good enough role alongside Bailey Dale at half back, the way that practice matches have been showing, or intra-club matches have been showing for him. So yeah, definitely good upside, but just be wary of a imminent return.
Dan Houston is our next player. Probably one of the top 5 most disappointing players in the AFL, given his high-profile cross from Port Adelaide to Collingwood last year. I can see this being a good pick if Josh Daicos has a permanent role within the midfield. But there's a lot of things that need to go right for Dan Houston to be a premium in SuperCoach again.
Yeah, 100%. I think he does. He straight into needs things to go right to be a successful pick, because while he is at a good price for what Dan Houston can do across half back, he's been overshadowed by Josh Daicos and other guys sort of in that Collingwood backline who like to take kick-ins. So he's sort of been stunted a little bit. So if we see Josh Daicos in a sort of a full-time midfield role, I'd be a lot more keen on Houston. But right now, I'm not really looking at him unless we see something in practice matches.
Miles Bergman, Port Adelaide. Went on a bit of a tear last year when he had midfield time, Deadly. 4 games out of 5. He scored in the hundreds and then was used as a bit of a tag man or a bit of a rotational piece, a Mr. Fix-It, if you will. Reports is that he's training through the midfield to start the year, which is great for those that are looking for a bit of a point of difference. Can you trust it, though?
I think he's a trap, personally. This screams, and block your ears if you're sensitive. This screams Harry Perryman, mate, to me.
Oh,
entire preseason he's been, training through the midfield and whatnot. But even a couple of days ago, Bergman himself said it's still up in the air if I'm going to play through there. I'm not sure. So even that sort of uncertainty, I don't love it. So, and all it takes is, one injury to someone in that back line. Like we saw it last year. Asav Radaglia got injured in a first quarter, and Bergman went straight back to defense to play a defensive role. Same, like a couple of games later, Connor Rozee got injured. Bergman straight back to that defensive role. If that stays the same under Carr, then I don't want to borrow him, because he's, as you said, the Mr. Fix-It, and I want him to have a permanent locked-in role. For me, I'm avoiding.
Definitely. Let's go to your man, one of the rookies that absolutely makes the table rise when you start talking about this bloke. And this is Harry Kyle, the number 14 pick for the Sydney Swans last year. Increasingly likely to start in the best 23, Deadly.
Yeah, it'll be, I think it's probably between him and Angus Sheldrick. And if he beats out Angus Sheldrick, he is a top 5 cash gen option, no questions in my mind, because this kid is a freak. Me and Phil have both essentially called him Finn Callahan 2.0, and I won't be changing my tune unless I see something different. But right now, from what I've seen from from Sydney Clips and even watching a couple of trainings by myself, this kid's a superstar in the making, mate. He's a top 5 cash gen option.
Nick Blakey. So Johnny Blakey's baby boy. This is a point of difference that I really like this year, Deadly. We've seen his numbers with Callum Mills in the side. They work so well hand in hand. I fear that Matt Roberts probably misses out on a spot regularly in that back 6 now, which, I mean, it's neither here nor there. He's a good ball user, but you'd much rather a Nick Blakey, Callum Mills combo over a Matty Roberts down there. How do you see the Nick Blakey situation playing out this year, and is he primed to take this next step?
This one for me, I think he needs things to go right for him, because if Riley Bice or Matt Roberts are in the team at all, I don't want a bar of Mills or Blakey, but if it's Mills and Blakey together, happy days. I'll take either one of them. They're both going to be decent off half back, and either one of them could be, top 6 defenders with a good enough role. So he does need those boys to sort of miss to be a successful pick, but if they do, he's a good starting option for me.
Bailey Dale, for those that don't know. Western Bulldogs, bit quieter this preseason. There's not really that much chatter going on about Daly Bale. What do you think? Is it because of the difficult buys and the options in Bont, English, Libba, Richards? People talking about Treloar, Fraser. What's the dealio here?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of had a look at Bailey Dale some point about a month ago as a bit of a point of difference, and then I looked deeper into it. He had his best scoring year of his career last year, mate, and I wouldn't say it was anything crash hot. And I've seen Bailey Dale have better years, but it was his best Supercoach year. Obviously, the 198 against Essendon definitely helped that, but he's got a good role. But he looks to just be a perennial 95 to 100 scorer, and it's not enough to be, a top 6 defender. And with those guys that you mentioned with that early buy, you got Bont. If you start with Bont, you can't start with Bailey Dale, really. Tim English, much the same. You can't have too many guys on that really, really tough buy that contains, the Bulldogs, Swans, and 2 other teams that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But hang on, I'll confirm it. Suns, that's a tough one.
It is.
And that's a really tough buy, that round 3 buy. So loading up on guys like that, it's going to be difficult. If Dale shows me something, before like round 6 or something, that he's improved and looks to be a top 6 Supercoach defender instead of on the fringe, I'll get him in then. But to start, I think I'll avoid, but with a close eye on him.
Yeah. Like it. That round, where is it? No, it's not 14.
Round 3.
Round 3, and then round 16.
Yeah.
Buy. So they share that with St Kilda, which could be quite prominent. But then even with Sydney as well. So that's a really difficult buy that we've got to manage early on in the season. Now, because I'm so good at pronouncing names, we're going to give this one a crack, Deadly. CJ. Changquoth Juth.
Wasn't bad.
No.
It could be CJ. He's in a Hawks jumper here, but moved over to the Melbourne Footy Club. Been training off half back alongside Christian Salem, so we could sort of couple Christian Salem and CJ together. They've had a couple injuries back there, including one Jake Bowie, who's out for a good part of 4 more months at least. Yeah, probably until
McVee's gone as well, and Frothy's May has got himself in a bit of trouble too.
Yeah, bit going on for Melbourne in that back line. So opens up a bit of an option for CJ. Could he be a bit of a breakout candidate at 350k? I don't know where to sit on him, to be honest. How about you?
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. Too much risk, and there's better value elsewhere for me. But you know what? Let's talk about someone that's absolutely in the picture, and that's Josh Daicos. Some would say the better brother between him and Nick Daicos, having one more club best and fairest than his brother. If this potential, it's not potential rumor, but the whispers that are coming out of Collingwood that this man is going to be playing a lot more midfield time, does that interest you? Because we have seen previously that when he does get those midfield minutes, these numbers do spike.
Yeah. I think it's averages over 100 or 105 or something like that.
Over 105 when he's in the midfield. Yeah, if he gets
when he has
more than 20
CBA numbers,
20% CBAs. Yep.
Yeah, that's not even good. That's just decent CBA numbers. So yeah, it's good reading. He definitely has the talent to play through the midfield alongside his brother Nick. If we see in practice matches he's in there, it doesn't really look like he's going to chop and change between midfield, halfback, or wing or anything like that, then yeah, he's a good starting option. I think he does need things to go right to be a successful pick, but he's just going to be consistently all right. Just probably score around the 100 mark again. If he goes midfield, could be better. So for me, as a starting option, as a strictly starting option, I think I'll wait and reassess after a couple of weeks.
I'm not sure whether it's going to be this year, Deadly, or whether it's going to be next year, but Jasper Fletcher is going to be a mainstay in our SuperCoach teams for a long time.
Yeah, I think once Zorko retires, or once he gets moved out of the half back line, and which could be very, very soon, Jasper Fletcher is going to be the guy for Brisbane back there, and he almost is the guy. He's won him some games with some of the kicks and the intercept marks that he's done in the past year or so. He looked really, really good. But it's the same sort of thing with Keidean Coleman. He is a lot, and he's 200K more expensive than Keidean. So
okay.
The thing is it's once again, how does Coleman work? How does Fletcher work? How does Zorko work? All three of these guys, they've still got Darcy Wilmot, who I haven't even mentioned as well. So there's a lot of guys who can rotate through that half back line, and I think Fletcher's going to be in there. I think Coleman's going to be in there, but they need things to go right for them to be successful. But I'm not going to talk you out of either of them until we see something in practice matches that changes that.
Yeah, the last two players we will bring up in a second, but if you haven't yet, please give us a thumbs up on this video. We would appreciate it, and it helps get us out to those that love a little bit of banter along with their SuperCoach knowledge. Now, Deadly, we've spoken a bit about this guy. He's not getting a lot of love in the SuperCoach world at the moment, but I feel as though once practice matches come along and people start to recognize who Xavier Taylor is, this guy will be one of the most owned players as he's a rookie, but given his potential for cash generation, he could be one of the most owned in defence to start the year.
Yeah, we just spoke about all the things that are going on in that Melbourne half back line. You got Jake Bowie that's injured. Judd McVee's gone. Frothy's Mays he's taken some personal leave. Opens up a spot for Xavier Taylor, and I've said this a couple of times throughout the preseason already, mate. He is my favourite rookie option in SuperCoach right now. Can play as a third tall, can play as the halfback. I expect him to start maybe as a third tall, with a bit of rotation between halfback with Salem and Jath. I think he's a fantastic option and will make us good cash. And once we'll see that if he's in the round one team, but he should be.
Our final player that we're going to talk about is someone who's been cruelled with injury the past couple of years, but we do know that there's upside there, and it's Josh Gibcus. If he gets that roll back in the back six for the defenders, we know that he can take an intercept mark. He's not the worst guy by foot either. I wouldn't be expecting, your 80s to 90s out of him on the regular, but there will be some spike games in there if he can maintain health. But it's not unreasonable to expect a 65 average out of Gibcus at 130K.
I reckon he gets 65 average easy if he plays more, if he strings some games together.
He just needs some consistency.
But that's the thing, mate. He's played 3 games of AFL footy in 3 years. He's been toiled with injuries, and he simply just has to go and need things to go right to be a successful pick. If he stays on the park, he's going to make us coin. That's all it is. But can you trust him to string more than 2 games together at this stage? I'm not sure you can, but let's pray for his sake and for Richmond's sake, because he is a special talent still, only 22 years of age, even though he's been in the system for 5 years, that Josh Gibcus can really excel. Definitely.
Fingers crossed that he does get a good run at it, and then we see some consistent games out of Gibcus, because absolutely, as an Essendon supporter, you don't like seeing other teams do well, but Gibcus is one of those guys that you see that he's well respected within the AFL community, does a lot of work in and around the youth as well. So hopefully he just gets a clean run at it and gets to play some good footy, because, he deserves good things to come his way. Deadly, that's going to do us for today. That's the 25 most relevant defenders that we have just categorized for you in our categories. If you like it, thumbs up. We love it. If you've got other players you'd like to know about, comment down below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But this is all part of a series where we've started with our defenders. Next, we'll do midfielders. We'll get into forwards and then rucks. Who knows what's going on with rucks this year? But after we have eyes on the practice matches, you, for example, you're heading to the Swans practice match next week. Is that right?
Yeah, in a couple of weeks. Yeah, Swans versus GWS down at Henson Park. Make the trip up there. I made the trip last year. Watched Keidean go ball out. Hopefully, I get to see my boy Harry Kyle put on a masterclass against GWS as well.
Fingers crossed. You'll have his signature all over your chest, won't you? If that happens,
100%, mate.
Love it. That's going to do us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Hopefully. No, actually, it won't be Saturday because we're going to have a day off. We can't do every day, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. But the goal is to get 5 episodes out per week to keep you up to date with everything that's going on in the AFL world and the SuperCoach world. So if you want to be part of our Patreon, our Discord, link is in the description below. It costs you less than a schooner of beer at the pub to get involved with us per month, access to absolutely everything we do, and access to some absolute legends in the AFL SuperCoach world. But until tomorrow night, we're out. Peace.